This is the loan program that allowed me to buy nearly 7 acres of farmland without any prior farming experience. I didn't even have 3 years of prior farming experience when I got a loan for this land. If I had not been able to get a loan for this land, I would not have had enough liquid cash to then pay for the accessory structures, driveway, and everything else that I have had put on this property since then. So in this video, I'm going to break down not only the fact that my loan is at Farm Credit East, which many of you know, but I'm actually going to dive further into the specific program under the Farm Credit umbrella where my loan is held. Disclaimer, this program might have a different name depending on where you are in the country. So I am in the Farm Credit East office for the Northeast. Farm Credit is going to have different names depending on where you are in the country, but if you go to their main Farm Credit website, you should be able to find the region that lines up with where you are located. Also, another disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by Farm Credit. This is just my genuine experience of obtaining a loan to buy this farmland. I genuinely believe we will have a much better future if everyday Americans buy the farmland that is now for sale and going to be for sale. $24 trillion worth of this farmland is going to be for sale over the next 2 decades, simply because farmers are retiring and over the age of 60. Let's get into it. Honorable mention to the USDA. They do have a variety of programs that allow people to buy farmland. I did find that you needed prior farming experience to get loans through the USDA, so that just did not line up with my story. I had never even gardened a day in my life when I got this loan, which is why I never thought something like this existed. I thought I had to prove on paper in some way my ability to farm this land successfully. I was wrong. Back in 2023, when I was on Zillow looking for land and I found this land that I would now go on to own, I simply did a Google search and discovered the Farm Credit system. Farm Credit was established over 100 years ago by Congress. They are no longer controlled by the government. They are their own separate entity, but it was established by Congress to make it easier for everyday Americans to start farming land, buying land, developing land. The government knew it was in our best interest to allow people to work land and feed our very quickly growing population, which is where Farm Credit came into the picture. Farm Credit is still in existence today, and my loan on paper is under the Farm Credit East umbrella and brand. However, there are programs within the Farm Credit East umbrella that break down different types of things dependent on what kind of land you want to buy. Most loans that go through Farm Credit East are going to be for larger farms, hundreds of acres, commercial farming type of operations. The bigger types of purchases are going to remain with Farm Credit East. But for me, since I was buying less than 7 acres of farmland to hobby farm on, as you will, I don't think it will stay a hobby for much longer, and I will obviously be sharing with you guys any monetary developments, agritourism, all that stuff I'm planning to test out and do here. Since my land was under 7 acres and possibly going to be used for residential purposes in addition to farming, my loan is actually with Country Living Loans is the name of the program. Again, that program might have a different name dependent on where you are. So if you call up your Farm Credit office and tell them, this girl on YouTube is talking about Country Living Loans in New York, what's the equivalent of that for me here, they're going to be able to tell you. Country Living Loans is a subcategory of Farm Credit that issues loans for any amount of acreage. So it actually doesn't matter. It could be 1 acre, it could be 10 acres. All that matters to the Country Living Loans program is that the land is zoned rural or agriculture. All that matters to the Country Living Loans program is that the land is zoned for rural or agricultural purposes. So if you're wondering if your land is zoned for such things, there's actually a handy dandy tool on the USDA website that is free where you can input the address and it will tell you. I'll put a screen grab here just to show you guys, but simply Googling it will also bring it up. I can also link to it below in the description for when you're done watching this video. As long as the land is zoned rural or agricultural, you can get a loan for that land through the Country Living Loans program. This same program, which I did not know at the time, actually also issues construction loans for rural land and farmland. And they even have another program that finances tractor purchases. So Farm Credit is like your one-stop shop for anybody who wants to get started farming on any type of scale. As you all know, I don't plan on buying a tractor anytime soon. I don't think it wise. As someone who is still fleshing out many different details with what I'm doing here, I don't want to be in debt $60,000 to a machine yet. Or ever. I really am having fun tinkering without a machine. I'm happy with my hoe and my wheelbarrow. Country Living Loans has functioned like any other lender, any other bank. I had to satisfy the loan requirements, like having a minimum credit score of 620. I had to provide them with tax returns and bank statements so they could determine if I was a trustworthy lender, all the usual stuff. I will also link below to another video I did on the farm credit system as a whole, where I talk about this stuff more in depth. I will link to that below. In addition to my Substack articles, you guys know I am a writer first and foremost, so I write about this stuff extensively. I disclose what different things here cost and all that in my Substack, so I will link to that below if you like reading lovely articles. I write 2 per week. Once I pre-qualified for the country living loan, they issued me, pre-qualification letter that I provided my real estate agent. She showed it to the sellers, said looks good, and it took them all in all about 4 weeks to give me the official approval for the loan to submit with my offer for this land, which was accepted. So now I pay back the loan every month on the 1st of the month. They have online banking. I issue the payment through my online banking portal. If you don't like online banking, I'm sure they allow you to mail in checks or drop it off at the local office if you so choose. I think one of the biggest selling features of this program is that you don't need prior farming experience. I think so many people, we're going to see an exodus of more and more humans out of cities, out of suburban areas that don't necessarily have experience in rural settings, but they want to get that experience. They shouldn't feel ashamed for doing that. For all the country folk that want to make fun of them, it is a good thing. If more people are growing food on a smaller scale and caring about the environment, that is a good thing. So I'm always here to try and help you guys with information related to that. I'm not sure what the interest rates are at this time. I locked my loan in 2023, which should tell you the interest rates weren't great at the time. I believe mine was 7%. That changes, fluctuates. I know I could call in and ask for a better interest rate. I'm working on it. It still was worth its weight in gold to me to, again, free up the capital that I would need to build out this property. Having to buy the land completely outright in cash and then also fund what goes on top of the land can be a lot of money. I didn't even know at the time you can get the loan for the land, you can get the loan for the new construction, and you can get the loan for the tractor. Figure out how much debt you want to incur. I'm a fan of some debt to leverage wealth. I'm not a fan of tons of debt. So I have a loan out on this land. I do not have a loan out on any of the structures here, and I don't have a loan out on a tractor. So my monthly payment is simply to the land, and that has just been what works for me. Final thing, just to give you guys an idea of how cute Farm Credit is, actually in 3 weeks, they are having a dinner at the local fairgrounds for anybody who is lending from them to attend, and this will be my first one I'm going to, and I'm very excited about it. I think they put out food for hundreds and hundreds of people, and they do this from all of their offices across the country, not just mine, here in Greenwich, New York, and I think that's adorable. I can't tell you the last time a major bank put out a lovely buffet spread at a fairgrounds for different people to meet and eat. I have found them to just be a very community forward and oriented lender that genuinely seems to care about what's happening here. They'll even check in with me and be like, hey, is there anything we can help you with? How's it going over there? They don't check up on you. Last thing, they don't check up on you when it comes to if you're actually farming. They don't care as long as they're being paid back for their loan, right? There's no stipulations here that you have to prove that you sold X amount for this, X amount for that. There's no rules for that. They don't really care. They just care that you're gonna pay back the loan. So that was very appealing to me, knowing it would take me some time to understand the kind of farmer and gardener that I want to be. And I'm still figuring that out. Rome wasn't built in a day, okay? House of Green wasn't built in a day. I'm working on it. Call up your local Farm Credit office. They're awesome. You can even say I sent you. They have told me that my videos have increased the amount of people calling them countrywide, which I think is amazing and hilarious. So you can say, hey, that Alex girl sent me, and they'll go, oh yeah, okay, yep, we know where you came from. Anybody out there thinking about buying a small amount of acreage this year to either farm, homestead, move your family, or grow your own food, I would love to know more about it below. I really do believe we are at the onset of some big changes in this country. I think what farming is and what it looks like is about to change. I think we're all gonna be a part of that, and change is inevitable. Sometimes that ticks people off. I am just the messenger here. With that, as I always say, you guys know we are in one of the biggest wealth transfers of our lifetimes, possibly the biggest. It is the biggest land wealth transfer since the 1800s. It is a crazy time to be alive. There is opportunity available with such a transfer if you so choose to take advantage of that. There will always be a little risk incurred with buying land, of course, but I do cover here all of the different things I have learned to figure out and assess if you are buying risky land or not. And again, I will link to other resources below that should help you guys with that. I wish you guys could see right now, there is a huge spider right on my tripod and phone as I am filming this. He's saying hi, and I actually have no problem with it. He's kind of cute. With that, be back soon with more content. Bye guys.